You're listening to Off the Court, a show dedicated to making you the best version of yourself as an athlete and as a person. I'm Coach Jack, CEO and owner of Close the Gate Hoops. If you want to take your life and game to the next level, this is the podcast for you. Let's get it. What up, gatekeepers? Back at you with another episode 15. Family is the core of happiness. And today, joining me, we have the beloved Coach Aaron.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me again, Jack.
How many episodes has it been?
This will be my third. Not for a while, though. Last one I was on, I think, was the fourth episode, maybe?
With Sam?
Yeah.
That was a good one. Recap of last episode 14, Miracle Morning. I strongly urge all of you, if you don't think you're a morning person, to go check that one out. It's demything basically sleep in general and energy levels and just trying to maximize productivity throughout your day. We've toppled over 2,000 downloads now collectively. I'll have to check what it's at precisely, but it's around 2,200 downloads, which is crazy because we started it in November, which is like, what is that now? 4 months? It's already March. It's the end of March.
That's crazy. That
we
started
insane.
Like 5 months ago doing these, and that
I know.
Seems like not that long ago.
How long have you been training?
I think it's actually, I don't really know. What was it?
I think it was like right away, wasn't it? At the beginning of the year?
It was like January, yeah.
New Year's.
Wow.
I know, that's crazy. I strongly urge you, gatekeepers. It is the off season now, so if you want to become an elite shooter, we have the CTG Shooting Academy. Now is the time to change your shot. It's the perfect blend of the knowledge, the drills, and the mindset necessary to become an elite shooter. And if you're interested in training, don't be afraid to text any of us coaches, Coach Aaron or Coach Connor, who is currently in training to become a trainer, or our film guy Ike for training. A lot of kids have spring sports, so we have seen a little bit of a decrease in students. We still collectively have over 100, but we do have some spots open if kids still want to train. But 3-on-3 league is coming, which I'm very excited for, and we're going to make the official announcement of all the details for it in the next coming week, which is very exciting. We're looking at projections of probably over 200 students since we already have 130 collectively. We are going to probably have to max it out at some point, but we'll figure all those details out. But today, I asked Aaron to come onto a podcast, and he picked family as the core of happiness, which I thought was a really good topic to talk about. And did you want to get started, Aaron, on why you wanted to choose that topic and what family really means to you as it being the core of happiness?
Yes. So I wanted to talk about family because recently I've kind of been thinking about this a lot, and as I've grown up, I've kind of realized the importance of family more. And when you're younger, you don't think about things as much like this, right? You kind of just go through life, and you don't really stop and just think about things like this. But the older and more mature I get, the more I think about these things, and family is definitely a huge impact on everybody. So I mean, to start out, definitely a lesson I've learned is that as you grow older, the unconditional love and care that you get when you're younger, it's not always there, right? Because when you're a kid, people just love you for being a kid. You don't have to do anything. They just love you and they care about you. And anything you do wrong, they chalk it up to you being a kid and you just learned, right? And now that, we're older and we are more mature and we should know better by now, right? You don't get that unconditional love and those just excuses, right? But an instant source of this unconditional love and care that you get is from your family. So your family always, they love and care about you no matter what you're doing, no matter what's going on in your life, right? That's always going to be there, where it might not be from other places that you're used to.
That's awesome, because, and I wrote that down too, you're stuck with them. You can't change or choose your family. So that means you're the only one in control of how close you are with your family members. And like you said, as you get older, you start to realize it more. But as the old saying goes, you don't realize how much you care about something until it's gone. I guarantee you, everyone, and even me still, we don't appreciate family enough because it's always there. And when something becomes so repetitive, we kind of just push it aside. And then when it's gone, you're like, wow, that was in my life every single day. Like, we see our family members every day of our life, and we don't even realize that true impact they have on us. So that was a great statement.
Right. They know you better than anyone else, because you've grown up and you know them your whole life, which is not true for anyone else. You know your family for your whole life, but friends and other people, coworkers, peers, all that kind of stuff, they're not there for your whole life like your family is.
Well, your family almost knows you better than your own self.
Right.
Because in our brain, we have this image of ourselves, but we don't see ourselves walk around and talk and do all the things we do. So that was, they do. They know us better than anyone else.
Right. Yeah, and I mean they're there for you to fall back on. There's when no one else wants to listen, you can always go talk to your family and things like that. But another thing is that's kind of you kind of grow as a kid through your family, I guess, because when you're younger, and you learn you're growing up, you learn the most from your family. You get your system of your values and your beliefs and all that kinds of stuff. They kind of shape you as a person, right? And that's how you grow up, is through your family, and it's kind of something you don't realize until you're older.
That's why it's so exciting to think about being a parent, and we're kind of in that betweener age where it's actually starting to become reality, where probably a couple of our older friends are probably starting to get married and actually thinking about having children, which is insane. But you basically shape whatever type of kid you have, and it's all in your control. But it's crazy to think that, because as we're growing up, we think our parents like know it all, and in reality, now that we're there in their shoes, we know that they had no idea what they were about to get into or what they were going to have to do. They grow as well with the kid, which is exactly what you were saying.
Right. I've definitely noticed that. When I was a kid growing up, I'd always thought that every single adult knows everything, right? But you grow up, and now being an adult, it's like, wow, I thought all adults were perfect and they knew everything, and I do not know everything. But yeah, it's a cool thing to grow up and learn. But that's definitely something I'm excited for too. And it sounds so huge, right? Being like that you're the person that's gonna shape someone eventually, right? But that's such a cool concept. But it kind of goes along with this, because when you're growing up, your whole family, you go through things together, right?
Yep.
Let's take this COVID situation, for example, right? This was a change that no one had ever experienced before, right?
Yep.
But especially when the first however period of time when we were stuck in our house, right? It was something that we had never gone through, and our family, we get through it together, right? Because especially during that time, you're closer with your family than anyone else, because you're just in the house stuck with them. But it was cool because you went through this thing, you fought through it, you grow through it, right? As a family, and you have certain experiences like that you don't share with anyone else, which is why I think family is just separate from everything else.
And people don't realize with COVID that probably, and I'm not going to jinx it, but that might be the only time in our life where we had like a pause button, and when it was just all with the close people that you could see,
right?
But like everything stopped. That doesn't really happen,
right?
And already it's almost back. I shouldn't say it's back to normal. It will be soon, but it's never going to really go back to that moment in time where everyone's doing nothing, which is weird to think about.
I think a lot of people took that for granted. I honestly, I thought that was awesome. It's a pause. You're literally you have all the time in the world to spend with your family, and that's all you can do, right? And I think a lot of people were like bored in the house, but I mean, it was actually a really cool time thinking back at it.
I loved quarantine. I hear some kids say that they didn't like it, and they must have just played video games the whole time and just ate their brain away. But I thought quarantine was awesome.
Yeah, it was super cool. Yeah, other than that, I mean, family, it's not just about your immediate family, your blood relatives. And this is where it kind of ties into basketball, is family are people that you kind of grow up with, in my opinion. When I think about it, I think about our basketball team. We grew up together since we were in, I think, 4th grade is when I met you, and then and now we're here doing this together, right? So it's like it's people that you grow up together, and I'm sure that you and me went through a lot of things and experienced a lot of different things throughout life together. So I mean, it's cool to think about that too, that it's not always just your blood relatives that are your family. So
I think time definitely plays a factor though. A good example is when you date someone, there's a thing called the honeymoon stage. Like the first 3 months of the relationship, you think you're like getting married, you're in love. And then after you hit that, and sometimes you go past that and it keeps going, which probably means that's the person you should spend the rest of your life with.
Right.
But I think to be a family, you can have friends as family, but it has to be over a certain period of time where you experience all those things. Because like in the beginning of a relationship, everything's going great until you hit your first argument or something, and then all these red flags pop up.
Right.
But yeah, I think family, in terms of someone that's not blood related, is all those special times that you share together, and it's really sharing your successes and downfalls. And that's exactly what I wrote down. That's the true definition of family, is someone who can share emotions with you. Yeah. Like when you do have a success, everyone's super pumped about it. See, sometimes friends can envy that, which is a big difference between someone who's a friend and someone who's a family member. And someone who has failure, you feel bad for that person. Like you can really feel the hurt that's inside them. A friend, sometimes if they're jealous of that person, might be, like they're happy that happened. You know what I mean? That to me is the biggest difference between family and someone that's a friend.
That's a very good point, because I've definitely noticed that, the older I get, because, when a lot of my friends that I like grew up with in high school or stuff, and now I'm not like as close with some of them or things like that. And you kind of notice things like that, maybe you weren't really family like you thought you were with them, or things like that. I mean, but yeah.
That's I know what you mean. And like the best friends, in my opinion, are the ones that you can go without talking to for a while, and you just pick up right where you left off.
Right.
It's not like you haven't talked to me in 3 months. Like, what kind of friend are you? Those to me are the most understanding, the best type of friends.
Right, because everybody's got stuff going on. You never know what's going on in other people's lives.
One thing, my dad, we've talked about this a little bit already, but one thing my dad always used to say to me is, you'll never understand true love until you have a kid, which is another reason that I think family is so important. And we obviously don't have kids, so we're not going to understand it until we do. But the type of love our parents have for us, and that goes right back to the emotions. It's almost like they're connected with our parents. And like, I can totally get where they're coming from now, where imagine if I had a kid and they set this goal and they didn't achieve that goal, and you would just be completely deflated, almost to the point where you're more deflated than your actual kid. But my dad always used to tell me that, and that's why I'm so excited to have a kid one day, because it truly is the core of happiness, in my opinion.
I mean, when I was younger, I always think back to times where my parents would be, they'd be upset with me about something, and I was so frustrated because I was like, why can't you just let me do this? And now, looking back at it, I'm like, well, yeah, obviously they're not gonna let me do that. It's stupid. But like, it's really like, if you're a kid listening to this, like if your mom's not letting you go, stay at your friend's house or something, do whatever you want to do, they have a good reason, right? They're not just being mean for no reason. If you can think about it, if you had a kid, would you be letting them do this? And when I think about it that way, it's more like clarifying to me,
Yeah, and it's always what's best for the person. They don't just do it for no reason. I shouldn't say everyone, but most parents, it's for the better. And same with most family friends. Right. It's for whatever's best for you.
Yeah. So, that being said, all the impacts that your family has on you, this is, you can think about your basketball team almost like a family, right? When you're at home, you think about, everybody has a role in your family, right? Yep. Everybody has a specific role, and that's exactly like your basketball team, right? You want to know your role. And some people, they'll step out of their role, or they'll do something uncharacteristic, and that can kind of mess up the whole flow of the game, of your team, or things like that. And it's the same thing with your family, right? If you were to mess up or do something, right, it can disrupt that whole flow.
And that's one of the best things to have as a person, is someone who's straight up with you. Who's going to tell you when you're out of line, because critique is the number one way to self-improvement. If you're never able to accept critique, or someone in your family telling you you're out of line, you're never going to improve from the state that you're in.
Right.
And that's something that I've gotten better at. Like my sister, she said she had to shut off one of the podcasts because I said a certain word so many times, which in the moment I'm like, man, that makes me mad.
Mhm.
But at 5 minutes later, I'm like, she's right. I got to stop saying this word over and over and over again. But that's why family just makes you better when they're holding you accountable to be your best self. And it comes out of becoming the best person that you can be. She's telling me that so that the podcast can be better. She's not telling me it so it pisses me off.
Yes, and that goes back to what you're talking about with your parents telling you can't do something, right? They're looking out for the best for you. They're trying to make you the best person you can be, right? And it would be, I can think of an example for me, right? I got in a little trouble in high school. I got suspended a couple games, and then maybe like I remember my junior year prom. I was in the middle of like track, and all my friends were going to this party. I really, really, really wanted to go to this party, and I was begging my parents to go to this party, and they would not let me go, and I was so frustrated at the time. But looking back at it, that was very, very not smart of me to want to do that. But yeah, there's always going to be times for that when you're done.
You don't appreciate something until it's gone. Like my mom does an insane amount of work around the house, and I guarantee, and my dad did too. And now I have like 5 times more chores living here because he used to do all of these things that you just take for granted. And like you said, making individual sacrifices, that's what family's all about. And it's for the better of the collective.
Me and Jack both know we both lived on our own for at least a year. We went off to college, right? And this goes along with how your family, everybody makes these sacrifices, and other people might not realize, but they're making a huge difference, right? So me and Jack, we went and lived in the dorms for a year at college, right? And as I was living there, I noticed that there was a shirt on my floor. And I'd leave, I'd go to class, I'd come back, and for some reason the shirt was still there, right? My parents hadn't picked it up yet off the floor, right? So once you go live on your own, you realize all these certain things that, these sacrifices, these things that your parents have been doing for you that you don't actually like realize while you're at home and they're doing it. But it goes along with just making these sacrifices, and it's the same on your basketball team, right? Everybody else on your basketball team, they're trying to work to get better, right? They're doing lifting sessions on their own that you might not see, right? But they're really trying to make your team better, things like that.
And like in college, that made me laugh because I was thinking about money too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we go out to eat a lot, and then you get to college and you actually have to pay for all that stuff. And
Yeah.
You're like, wow.
Yeah, you don't realize how much it is. Or like you think about all the times where you're at a basketball tournament and you're begging your parents for money to go do something or whatever when I'm younger, and it's like, wow, they've definitely made a lot of sacrifices.
And like that, basically all of their inheritance goes to us.
Yeah.
Family is the core of happiness is one of the number one priorities in terms of me running CTG right now. And the best decision, I've said this a couple times, is hiring you 3, you, Connor, and Isaac. One, it's made it a lot more fun having meetings and stuff, and being able to distribute certain activities, and watching the care from all of you, and just really trying to create the one goal that we state, and that's to influence and impact as many lives as possible for the better. And I think all of you guys have realized that, like, how much power this stuff like we're doing right now can actually have on people. And like the cause for it, like this type of business will not die, in my opinion, because of what it does. It makes people better, compared to something that's just like a product and fixes a tiny little problem that's kind of irrelevant in the big picture. But the number one goal to me in the future is making CTG a family atmosphere where we all share our successes and downfalls. Everyone's there for each other, and it's never a type of jealousy or envy game. And it acts literally the same as it would be at your home life with Close the Gate. So that would be the number one goal, is turning Close the Gate into the theme of family is the core of happiness.
Once you asked me to help you train, right, I kind of just pictured me teaching kids how to play basketball, and I didn't realize how much more it is than that. It's like it's, I've gotten close with all my students. I have a good relationship with all my students, and I get texts saying, this kid has made this team, or this
Uh-huh.
kid played really well at their tournament. And that goes, it means a lot to hear that stuff, and it's really cool. And, all my students have made it super easy on me. You guys are all super cool. So
We're gonna do a podcast interview all our kids. That'll be super cool. But overall, to recap everything me and Aaron have talked about today, the number one, probably most underappreciated thing that we all take for granted is our family. Even though you think you're appreciating it, you're definitely not appreciating it as much as you should be. And I remember I grew up in a Catholic church, a private school, and I always remember the 10 Commandments. And I remember the one that I always thought was the most important, and it was obey your mother and father. And that was probably one of the biggest reasons I never partied in high school, because my mom and dad were so tight on me about being influenced by that stuff. And I would always go back to that commandment because as a kid, I thought it was the most important, is to obey your mother and father. But that goes directly into family being the core of happiness. The ability to obey your parents is making you better, because they wouldn't be stating that stuff in the first place if it wasn't for your better self.
Right. Yeah.
Do you want to end with a quick speed round?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll ask you first. Question 1. Who's your NBA MVP right now?
As much as I want to say Giannis, I think no one's really been talking about Giannis for MVP, which sucks because I think he's playing really well. But I think Jokic right now.
Really?
If Giannis doesn't win it, then I want Jokic to win it.
What seed are the Nuggets?
Ooh, I have no idea.
I honestly, everything's so tight that it all depends on probably who has a better record.
I don't want Harden to win it. I don't want James Harden.
I would be shocked if he won it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean,
that'd be crazy. He's on a team with Durant and Kyrie, and he wins MVP.
They also just got Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge too. That's just not fair.
This is not fair. They're trying to take out Giannis.
I still got the Bucks in 6.
So. Yeah, Bucks in 6. Yep. Second question: if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I would probably go. I've always thought Southeast Asia would be cool. I don't know where, I just thought all those little those towns over there would be cool, Thailand, something like that.
I actually was looking at, I always look at places to travel sometimes, and that was one of the places, which is kind of ironic that you said that.
I've always thought that was just a super cool area, and I would like to go there. Other than that, I mean, probably like Europe or something.
Yeah. Have you been out of the country before?
Never.
Where's the farthest you've been? Florida? Destin?
I've gone, when I was really little, I went to Arizona. And I was like 6 months old. I went to Boston. But other than that, Florida.
Do you ever want to travel when you're older?
I do. Yeah, that'd be cool. I just need.
Are you gonna study abroad?
Money and time. No, I don't think so.
Need money and time.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna take. That's another thing. We're taking CTG to lacrosse. If Isaac right now he's deciding between Madison or lacrosse for college, but if he does go to lacrosse, then Aaron, Connor, and Isaac will all be there. So
the empire.
Yes, exactly, an empire. We're scaling the business. Last question. This is a funny one. Who's your favorite family member?
My favorite family member. Oh my god. Probably my dog Cooper would be my favorite family member.
Good call. Cooper won't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, he's cute. He likes to play ball.
That's funny.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
Not even. Well, he might be a year. If he's not a year, he's almost a year. So it's like 10 months probably.
Fletcher turns 10 in like 3 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Happy early birthday, Fletcher.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. You got 3 questions?
Yeah. Let's see if I can remember. Who is your favorite sports team that's not inside of Wisconsin?
Oh, that's hard.
I have one. They're in the Final Four right now.
UCLA?
Yep.
You still like UCLA?
Not as much, but I do like them.
Okay.
I was excited they got to the Final Four. They got a lot farther than Lonzo's team.
I mean, I don't really have one, but I went to Virginia Tech with my dad's good friend from high school, the trainer, David Jackson. So that would probably be my out-of-state school if I had to pick one.
That's cool. I've always thought a school in Virginia would be like a fun school to go
It's
to.
Virginia's like different than most other places. It's like kind of old, but
Right.
it's really cool.
Yeah, I bet that would be cool. All right. Next question I have is, if you could eat at one restaurant for the rest of your life, what restaurant would that be?
Wow. That's tough.
Mm.
That's really hard. In terms of health, I would say Chipotle probably.
All right. What if you could eat anything and you stay the exact? You're always healthy. And
I
you
was
just-
always healthy.
Yeah.
Probably Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
If I stayed the exact same Chick-fil-A.
Right.
Those are in terms of fast food. In terms of like really nice restaurants, that would be way too hard.
Yeah.
But Chick-fil-A and Chipotle I like a lot. Chipotle I like a lot just because it gives you like everything all in one sitting kind of.
Sure.
I used to be Qdoba. I've switched back between
too.
Chipotle and Qdoba like 20 times.
I was Chipotle, then Qdoba, and now I'm kind of Chipotle.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chipotle, it's the corn. The corn's way better.
Really? I don't know. I just feel like it's more fresh.
Okay.
I like Chipotle. All right, my last question. Everyone is starting to head back from spring break. So, what was your favorite spring break vacation that you've been on?
Ever?
Yes.
Oh, that's easy. That's the senior year trip
Was
we
it?
made.
That's mine too.
At
That's
Destin.
definitely my favorite.
That was awesome. And it's basically the same group going.
We're remaking it.
Yeah, we're remaking the Destin trip. But it's in Gulf Shores.
Gulf Shores, yeah.
How far away is that from Destin?
I don't think it's that far because I think it's in Alabama, right?
Wait, Gulf Shores isn't even in Florida?
No, I think it's in Alabama.
I don't know anything.
But I think it's close to Destin because Destin's up on that little panhandle thing.
Okay.
But yeah,
Sick. I'm going to stay in Alabama. I've never been there before.
I don't think I have either.
So, all in all, gatekeepers, tell the ones close to you that you love them and know the difference between true family and just friends. True family shares your emotions. They truly feel for you with your successes and downfalls. And just remember that you don't truly appreciate something and realize what it is until it's gone. Well, one of the last talks that my dad ever had with me was that family is the core of happiness. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity when Aaron said he wants to talk about family, to put that as a title on the topic. So thank you, Coach Aaron, for joining me. I'm going to see you soon again for episode 16 probably.
Yep.
Sneak peek, it's going to be Breaking Bad Habits. And I think it's a sick title because of Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Great TV show.
I'm almost done with that.
So thank you for joining me, Aaron. I'm out. This is Coach Jack. Peace.